Welcome back to the show today. We're talking about which NBA players need a ring the most. Say what you will about ring culture, we all want to see our favorite player hold up the Larry O'Brien trophy at least once. So the way I'm ranking these players is based on two different factors, an X and a Y axis if you will. The X axis being how much time a player has left in his career, the Y axis being how dominant or influential they've been in their career. I'm going to leave a lot of players off this list either because they're not dominant or they're not old. So let's start with a dominant young player, Luka Doncic. Luka is only 24 years old, so obviously he has a lot of time to win a championship. But it's definitely expected that he gets one because he's already a Hall of Fame player. And before you say anything, let me explain. Foreign players get into the Basketball Hall of Fame a lot easier than Americans do. Dino Raja is a Basketball Hall of Famer and he only played for 4 seasons in the NBA. I don't even know who he is, really. That's because the Hall of Fame is for basketball, not the NBA. Luka is a gold medalist in Eurobasket, a EuroLeague MVP, and a EuroLeague champion. It's possible that he had enough accolades to be in the Hall of Fame before he even played in an NBA game. Now he's been first team All-NBA 4 out of the 5 years he's been in the league. No one's done that before. That's historic. And right now he's on the trajectory to do it again. Maybe he'll be an MVP. So it's expected that Luka Doncic will end his career with at least one NBA championship. But he's got 10 or 11 years more to do it, so it's really not urgent, is it? The next player is Jayson Tatum, who's 25, still very young. So the reason that Tatum is above Luka on this list and he's a little more desperate is because he's a little bit older and he's been to the finals. He's been really close to the championship. He went to the finals in 2022 and he's been to the Eastern Conference Finals 4 times. So for me, this is a big factor in who we expect to get a ring by the end of their career. How much a player has smelt a championship. And Tatum has damn near tasted it. I feel like the new conference finals MVP is a weird, sick way of taunting the star player on the team that didn't win the finals. Like, here's a trophy for you to hold on to and put in your trophy cabinet to remind you of when you didn't win a championship. And I like Tatum, so I want to see him get another crack at the finals. And I've said this before, he's played in over 90% of the games in his career. This guy likes to play. He's a competitor, so don't you want to see a guy who wants it get it? The next player is Joel Embiid. Joel has been in the league for a while. This is his 10th season in the NBA, but it's only his 8th season playing. Embiid got off to a slow start. The first 2 seasons in the league, he did not play. But now Joel is the best player in the league to never make it out of the second round of the playoffs. Right now, Joel is coming off an MVP season, and this is his year to prove that he's the best player in the league. Expectations are high for Joel this season, but also for his career. I feel like if you win an NBA MVP, but you never win a championship, that becomes part of your identity. Think about Chuck, Karl Malone, Steve Nash. As cool as it is getting the approval from your peers, that can turn on you and you can become a joke amongst your peers. The next player on my list is DeMar DeRozan. Now, DeMar is not as good as any of the other players on this list, but he is older. Older, but still a valuable asset for a team. He's still by no means a bandwagon ring chaser at this point. He can be the second best players on a finals team. The real reason I think most of us NBA fans want to see DeMar get a ring is because he was traded from the Raptors and then the Raptors won. Imagine the team you've been with your whole entire career and the team you wanted to be with for your whole career wins a championship after giving up on you and trading you. And it couldn't happen to a nicer guy. DeMar is known for being humble and caring for his teammates. Both Ayo Dosunmu and Lonzo Ball were shook when they realized how much DeMar DeRozan knew about them before even meeting them. This guy is obsessed with basketball and I think we'd all like to see him achieve the highest honor in the game. So I'd like to see him be traded before the deadline. I'd like to see him go to the Lakers and play with LeBron James, because I don't know if you remember, when he was playing with Toronto, he was quoted as saying, if we had LeBron, we would have won. So it'd be nice to see them on the same team. Now, number 6 on my list is PG, Paul George. Paul George has been to the Eastern Conference Finals and he's been to the Western Conference Finals as a Pacer and then in the West as a Clipper. Paul George gets a lot of crap because people expect him to have at least been to the finals by now. He's taken LeBron to 7 games in the playoffs. And at one point it felt like he was going to take over for LeBron in the East. Then after he was traded to the Clippers from the Oklahoma City Thunder with Kawhi Leonard, it felt like it was a foregone conclusion until these guys won the finals. It still hasn't happened though. This is the tragic thing about being an incredible NBA player. People have incredibly high expectations on you. They put you on a pedestal and they say you're the guy that's next, as if it's only a matter of time until you win the finals. And then if you underdeliver, people enjoyed tearing you down just as much as they liked building you up. I'm sure we all remember Pandemic P. Paul George next year is entering the last year of his contract and he's probably not getting another 4-year max contract. I think Paul George has about 3 more seasons left to get a championship, in the context that he wants to get a championship, and that is as a starter in the NBA, before he enters the realm of 1-year vet minimum contracts. And there's nothing wrong with being a sub that gets 10 minutes a game and winning a championship. Dwight Howard and DeAndre Jordan are champions. You can't take that away from them. The next person on my list is Damian Lillard. Now, Dame is only in his 12th season in the league, and he has made the conference finals 1 time, back in 2019, but he was swept by a Kevin Durant list and I believe a Klay Thompson list Golden State Warriors team. But of all the players that I've mentioned up until this point, I believe Dame is the best. And he's finally in a place where he can be the number 2 guy. I think every superstar gets into their 30s and they realize, hey, I cannot be the best player on my team. So now Dame is in a position where there is no excuse. He has to get a championship to go down as one of the best guards in his era. So he's got a couple more years to do it in Milwaukee while he's got the arguably best big man in the league. The next guy on my list is Jimmy Butler. Now Jimmy is different from all the other guys on this list because I believe him getting a ring is just icing on the cake to a Hall of Fame career. Jimmy was the last pick in the first round in the 2011 draft. People had low expectations of him. He did 3 years at Marquette, and before that he was at a JUCO. But this pattern of overperforming stuck with him into his professional career. He went from playing only 8 minutes a game in his rookie season to being an all-star in 2015, and eventually taking over the Bulls from Derrick Rose. Jimmy has made the finals as the best player on his team twice. Those teams were not expected to get that far. And a lot of what brought those Heat teams to the dance was Jimmy's strength of will and tenacity. The problem is, as good as he is, he's a number 2 guy. He doesn't have the skills on offense to be the number 1 guy on a championship team. The paradox is, he doesn't play nice with other stars. He has to be the leader on his team. It didn't work in Minnesota and it didn't work in Philly. If Jimmy is on a team, the personality of that team has to be that of Jimmy Butler. I think the Heat need to get a player who is really good on offense and can play at the level of Jimmy Butler and meet the standard of Jimmy and Pat Riley. All that being said, if Jimmy ends his career without a ring, no one's gonna clown him for it. They just aren't. The next guy up is James Harden. The reason Harden isn't number 2 on my list is because I believe he has over 3 years left as a starting point guard in the league. The guy is really versatile. Whatever team he's on, he's gonna fit in and he's gonna get a lot of assists and play make. But Harden needs a ring because he has a reputation of being a choker in the playoffs and a total egomaniac. While Jimmy Butler will probably have no grief if he ends his career ringless, James Harden absolutely will. People don't want to pick on Jimmy, but they want to pick on Harden. If he doesn't win a ring, he's going to be known as the guy that forced his way out of 3 teams and pissed off a lot of people, only to come up literally empty-handed. Number 2 on my list is Russell Westbrook. The only reason he's above Harden is because he is a buyout guy now. He got bought out of his max contract and now he's signing vet minimums and coming off the bench. This could very well be the last year of his career. Typically, this is kind of the death march. Russ also gets a lot of hate and he's very sensitive about it. Even just last week, he got into a verbal altercation with a fan, a Clippers fan, at a home game. And last year when he was a Laker, teams would literally boo every time he shot the ball. Nothing will get people to bully you more than you reacting to their bullying. Us sports fans, for the intents and purposes of this conversation, are losers. So being able to have an emotional effect on an NBA MVP is really exciting for us. It makes us feel powerful when we kinda suck. And it makes media members feel even more powerful because they have a large platform to spread their negative sentiment. Honestly, I pray for Westbrook's psyche that he'll get a championship. The last player on my list is, of course, Chris Paul. Chris Paul is annoying because he's a competitor. He'll pretend to help you up when you fall down. He'll draw attention to the fact that your shirt's untucked and get a delay of game call. He'll mock you to your face every time he gets one on you. And he'll bitch to the refs the entire game, even on good calls. This guy is annoying, but he loves the game, and he has an incredibly understated career, honestly. In his 19 years in the league, he's been All-NBA 11 times, and All-Defense 9 times. He's led the league in steals 6 times, and he's led the league in assists 5 times. He is one of the best players over the last 20 years. He's also been really close to getting a ring. He lost to the Bucks in the 2021 finals, but I think the closest he actually ever came was in 2018 in the Western Conference Finals when he got injured. The Rockets were up 3-2 after Game 5, but they lost the last 2 games where Chris Paul didn't play. Personally, I think that was Chris Paul's last chance, but let's see if he can do it with the Warriors as the 6th man. All right, let me know who I missed. Who do you think needs a ring? Like this video if you liked it, if you enjoyed it, and then be good to your mothers and eat a corn dog.